Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to this installment of Open Mic, the show where the mic is open. The floor, as they would say, is yours. What do you guys want to talk about? That is what we are here to do today. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Good to see you guys. I haven't seen you in a couple of days. So we didn't do a John Campea show on Thursday or Friday. Wednesday, after the show, I was feeling just kind of like not ill, just like spent. I don't know how else to describe it. Like I just felt like I was very lethargic. I didn't have much energy. And then Thursday came around and it was bad. Like it was like, again, not feeling ill, like I was vomiting or anything. It was just like, I just felt like I had weights on every single one of my limbs. I just had like no energy and I just couldn't pull anything together. So I decided to not do the show. Friday morning, I felt a little bit better, so I started getting the show together, but it just all hit me again, and so I decided not to do it. So I've just been relaxing and stuff like that, and I feel like 90% better today. So thank you guys for your patience. I still have no idea what it was. Like, I wouldn't say I was sick. I don't know, I was just feeling really weird. But anyway, back to it here today. Good to have you guys here. And, for today, I thought we would do something kind of fun. Now, just so you guys know, here on Open Mic, really the main gist of the show is to take your topics and questions. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, or a question you want to address, go ahead and use the super chat feature. It means you got to be watching live and send it in there. But if you're watching this a little bit later in the day and you're wondering, how do I get a question in on Open Mic if I can't watch it live? You can use our tip link and you can find a link down in the description at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Send one in there and then we'll address it on the next Open Mic. Of course, as long as it's appropriate to be addressed on the show. Okay. So, something came up, a conversation came up the other day that we have heard brought up many, 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 many times, but a buddy of mine kind of brought it up kind of in a more thoughtful way, talking about, the responses we're hearing coming out of Spider-Man Brand New Day, the fact that Doomsday looks so good, the fact that Wonder Man was so good and Daredevil Born Again Season 2 has been so good. A buddy of mine said, like, we know we don't want to, like, I particularly don't like to rush or jump to making proclamations about anything. My friend said, isn't it, though, fair to say now that Marvel's back? Is it fair now to say that Marvel is back? And, whenever Marvel in the last couple of years has put out one decent thing, we all want to rush to the question, is Marvel back? It's like, well, that was one decent thing. Let's give it a little bit more time and see what happens. Then inevitably they'd put something bad out again and all that kind of stuff. But I do think right now feels a little bit different, and it's at least worth asking the question, is Marvel back? Now, to ask the question, if Marvel is back, one first has to make the assumption is that they went somewhere. And I think it's fair to say that they did go somewhere. Now, a number of people have accused me over the past couple of years of being anti-Marvel. I am absolutely not anti-Marvel. Give me a break. I got half the people on the internet accusing me of being a Marvel shill, then a whole bunch of people accusing me of being anti-Marvel. Neither is true. I like Marvel because I like a lot of their stuff, but when they put out stuff I don't like, I'm going to call a spade and say I don't like it. Sue me. Anyway, so I thought it'd be fun here for a second to take a look at the projects we've gotten since Endgame, right? Now, Endgame marked the end of a period of glory for Marvel, right? Like everything from Iron Man to Endgame was awesome, except for, in my estimation, Thor 2 and Iron Man 2. I don't think those were awesome. A couple of them were solid, like really good, but I wouldn't say awesome like Ant-Man 2. I thought Ant-Man 2 was really good. I really enjoyed Ant-Man 2. It wasn't as good as Ant-Man 1, but I still put it in that solid category, right? And just about everything Marvel did, from Iron Man all the way up to Endgame, it was just like win after, with a couple of little hiccups here and there, but it was win after win after win after win after win after win. Like that's all it was. But then came the era of Endgame and things started to change. Now, it should be pointed out that shortly after Endgame was the era of Bob Paycheck became CEO. Shortly after Avengers Endgame, Bob Paycheck became the CEO of Disney. And he implemented what one Marvel executive, remember, this is confirmed, what one Marvel executive said was the main mandate from Bob Chapek or Bob Paycheck to Kevin Feige and Marvel. Besides the fact that he took away a bunch of Kevin Feige's authority, he created a new level of management that had authority over Kevin Feige as to what projects can get made and where they would go and all that kind of stuff. But the mandate that we know that came from Bob Paycheck was make as much as you can as fast as you can. That was the mandate. That was the guideline. That was the decree from on high from Disney to Marvel, saying starting now, you're going to crank out as much content as you can. Because we are going to flood the market with Marvel stuff. Not only do I want all the movies still coming out, but now I want double the output because I want to put out that much stuff on Disney Plus. By the way, Bob Chapek is not the one who came up with Disney Plus. That was Bob Iger's thing. But the mandate to Marvel to say, start cranking out all the stuff you can. Just crank it out, baby. More. That was a Bob Chapek thing. And that was kind of, now in this era of make as much as you can, as fast as you can, that streak that we had pre-Endgame of win after win after win after win after win after win after win with the odd little hiccup here and there, Thor 2, Iron Man 2, that was gone. That was gone. So we had an era of three things that I'm going to break down. We're going to call them good stuff, mediocre or okay, middle of the road, whatever stuff, and bad stuff. And that balance, that ratio of 9 really good things for every 1 not good thing that was happening Endgame and before it totally changed. So let's take a look for a second at what was good. Okay. Let's start with good. What was good? Well, WandaVision. By the way, I'm not going to make a distinction between good, super good, and awesome. It's just like good, and then okay, and then bad. What was good? Well, clearly WandaVision. Still the best thing that they ever put out on TV. I'm going to say Shang-Chi was under that good list. It's close to okay, but I'm going to say Loki was good. I'm going to put Loki under the good list. I think Loki was good. Cry me a river if you want, but I'm putting Eternals on the good list. I know a lot of people whine and cry about Eternals, and it's all subjective, totally valid if you didn't like it, but I still to this day think it was a really solid movie. Not a top 10 best Marvel movie, but I thought Eternals was a solid movie. I just thought it was a very different movie for Marvel at the time. But anyway, I'm going to put that under the good list. I'm also going to put Spider-Man No Way Home under the good list. I'm going to put Ms. Marvel. I think that's the second best show that Disney has done, that Marvel has done. I think that's the second best Marvel show on Disney Plus. Was that? Let's see. What else am I going to put under good? I'm going to put Werewolf by Night under the good. That was a good one. I like that one. I'm definitely going to put Guardians Holiday Special. Guys, listen, honestly, some of you have heard me say this before. You guys know I crapped all over the idea of them doing a Guardians Holiday Special, right? I crapped all over it. I'm like, I love James Gunn and I love Guardians of the Galaxy. Doing a Christmas special, that's just stupid. It's a stupid idea. And I crapped all over it. I did. I admit it. I said, like, I'm definitely going to check it out because it's Guardians and it's James Gunn. But I said, this is a stupid idea. And guys, without a word of a lie, it's now been a couple of years. I've been able to marinate on this, and I'll say it confidently. It is my favorite Christmas special now. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. The thing I crapped all over before it came out is now my favorite holiday special ever. I like it more than Rudolph. I like it more than Frosty. It's just my favorite holidays. I love it. I just think it's delightful and charming and fantastic. So there's that. All right, let's keep going. What else was good? Well, sticking on Guardians 3 was amazing. So that was good. What else are we up to here? Oh, yeah. Deadpool and Wolverine was fantastic. That exceeded my expectations. I loved it. A surprisingly good one. Agatha All Along was surprisingly good. It was solid. That was a solid one. I'm going to put Agatha on the good list. Let's see, where else are we now? Then we've got Daredevil Season 1, I thought was really good. Again, Daredevil Born Again Season 1 wasn't as good as, say, Netflix's Daredevil, but I thought it was still quite good. I like Daredevil Season 1. Well, then we got Thunderbolts, which exceeded all my expectations. I absolutely loved Thunderbolts. And then I'm not going to include the animated stuff, just so you know. I'm not including the animated stuff. Otherwise, I would put Eyes of Wakanda on here because I thought Eyes of Wakanda was actually pretty darn good. But I'm not going to cover animated stuff here. Then I'm going to put the Fantastic Four. I thought the Fantastic Four was really solid. Again, not a top 10 best. Not a top 10 best. But very good nonetheless. Then also just came out Wonder Man. I thought was really good. And right now we're on Daredevil Season 2. Daredevil Born Again Season 2, which is better so far than Daredevil Born Again Season 1. It is as good as the Netflix stuff. Not better, but it's as good as the Netflix stuff, in my opinion. And then, of course, soon we got Punisher, Spider-Man Brand New Day, Avengers Doomsday coming out. So it's a good list, right? WandaVision, Shang-Chi, Loki, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Ms. Marvel, Werewolf by Night, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Guardians 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, Agatha, Daredevil, Seasons 1 and 2, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and Wonder Man. That's really good. So you'd think, well, John, why are you saying then that Marvel's been hit and miss since Endgame? That's a big list of good stuff. Well, it is a big list of good stuff. Here's the problem. They made a lot of other stuff too. Since Endgame and since the Bob Chapek make as much as you can as fast as you can kind of era, they made a lot of bad stuff too. And not all of it is Bob Chapek's fault. Of course not. Don't misinterpret me at all. So let's now, just to save time, mediocre to bad. What has been meaty to bad? Because we got that big list of really good stuff, right? Unfortunately, there's some other stuff too. And I'm going to start with Black Widow. I mean, Black Widow wasn't garbage. It wasn't garbage, but it wasn't all that good. It just really wasn't all that good. Also, even though he's one of my favorite characters in the MCU, I didn't think Hawkeye was pure garbage, but I didn't think it was all that good. Moon Knight had a chance to be pretty good. Like, it started well and it had a couple of good episodes. And then, like, Moon Knight for me was one of those shows where it came down to the last episode. I remember me and Rob talking about it going, all right, it's all kind of like, if they nail the ending, if they nail the finale, I'll feel like this overall was a pretty good show. If they botch the ending, I'm going to say it's not a good show. And I thought they botched the ending. So for me, I know it won't be the same for everybody, but Moon Knight goes on the mediocre to bad list. Also on the mediocre to bad list, Doctor Strange 2. Now, you know what? Here's the thing. I actually don't, I'm very, very, see, if I was splitting up okay and bad, if I was making okay and bad in two different lists, I would probably put Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness onto the okay list. Like, it had some really bad things about it, but it also had some really good things in it. Overall, I'm not going to put it on the good list. I'm going to have it under the mediocre to bad list. But again, I don't think it was terrible. I actually got some enjoyment out of it. But by a very, very close margin, I'm going to put it over here for now. And ask me again in 2 weeks, I might change my mind. All right. Then we got to go. Also, one of my favorite characters in the MCU, Thor, Love and Thunder. And you know what? There are moments in Thor, Love and Thunder. There are moments that made me laugh my ass off. I'm not going to lie. There are absolutely a few moments in Thor, Love and Thunder that I think were great. The problem was the terrible stuff outweighed the great stuff 5-1. Like a good solid 5-1. Like an example of one of the things that I loved, the whole scene with Thor and Zeus, and you are not invited to the orgy. I don't care what anybody says. I thought that shit was hilarious. I really did. I thought it was really good. But the problem in that same scene, they've got like, oh, what was it? Bao, the god of dumplings. I'm like, come on. And then, you know, you had Christian Bale, which could have been such a great character. And anyway, yeah, listen, there's some good stuff. Anybody who just says, no, there's nothing good about Thor, Love and Thunder, they're not being objective. There is some really good stuff in it. The problem is the crap way outweighed it, and it ended up being very disappointing. So Thor, Love and Thunder makes it onto the meaty to bad list for me. Then we got to go She-Hulk. Man, I don't know if anything else on this list is going to disappoint me as much as She-Hulk. I don't know if anything on this list disappointed me as much as She-Hulk. She-Hulk had such potential. And listen, they cast her right. Tatiana Maslany, perfect. Absolutely perfect casting. She was incredible in the role. She played the role perfectly as the way the script was written. And I thought, so definitely the issue is not the casting. And the first episode was pretty good. Like, I liked the first episode. I thought, all right, we're off to a good start. That happens a lot with Marvel. Like, they get off to a good start and then they just can't carry it through. But, you know, to me, guys, at the end of the day, it all came down to this. There were certain things that were good, a lot of things that were bad, but it all comes down to this one thing. There are sins you can commit in making a movie and a show that you can be forgiven for. But when you're a comedy, one sin you cannot have forgiven is not being funny. Yeah, it had its moments. It did. I'm not going to lie. It had its moments, for sure. But having 7 or 8 or 9 big laughs over the course of the entire season of a comedy, that's not good. And when you're watching a comedy that is trying to be funny and is abundantly failing at it, you just can't get it. Almost doesn't matter what else you do right. You can do almost everything right in a comedy series, but if you fail at being funny, none of the rest of it matters. The same is true in reverse. You can do almost everything wrong in a comedy, but if you succeed at being funny, everything else is forgiven, right? Like, we don't care. If we're watching a comedy and it's hilarious and makes us laugh, we don't care if they do everything else badly. We don't care if all the characters are one-dimensional. We don't care if it's super predictable. We don't care if it's a bland storyline. If it makes us laugh at a good, consistent pace throughout the movie or the series, we forgive everything else. Everything else is forgivable. The one thing that is not is you cannot be a comedy and be dreadfully unfunny. And like I said, She-Hulk had 7, 8, 9 really good moments, but that's not enough through the course of an entire series. So She-Hulk makes it onto the meaty to bad list. All right, next up, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. listen, you got to cut them a lot of slack. This was a nearly impossible thing to do, right? Like doing a Black Panther after the loss of Chadwick Boseman. That is a tall, Herculean, emotional task. And I just don't know how you win. I just don't. Obviously, the big thing they did wrong was not recasting the role. I believe the best way to honor Chadwick Boseman is to not throw his character out in the garbage. Call me crazy. I don't think the best way to honor and respect the legacy of Chadwick Boseman was to throw his character in the trash. I don't think that was the right thing to do. I know they were trying. How do I say this? I understand that Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige's number one thought was, how do we be respectful to Chadwick Boseman? It totally was. I totally believe 100% that Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige's number one question to themselves was, how do we respect the legacy of Chadwick Boseman? I totally believe that. I just think they came to the wrong conclusion. I think their motivations were right. I just think they came to the wrong conclusion. You guys know me. I believe the way you honor somebody is by picking up the baton for them. You pick up the baton and you carry on the race for them. You don't say, oh, you died? Well, then we're just throwing your work away too. This beloved character that you breathed life into that has come to mean so much to millions and millions of people, yeah, we're going to throw that character away now. I just don't think that's how you honor them. You honor them by picking up the baton and carrying on their work. So anyway, to me, but listen, even if they did recast T'Challa, okay? Even if they did recast T'Challa, doing Wakanda Forever was still going to be incredibly difficult without Chadwick there. I just can't even imagine the emotional weight of everybody there who knew and worked with and loved Chadwick Boseman now trying to do the next movie without him. It would have been Herculean, but still, it was a big mistake to not recast the character. And listen, at the end of the day, again, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is one of those movies that had some good things going for it. It really did. But at the end of the day, it was just a pretty mediocre to bad movie. Like, I think Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was better. And I say this as somebody who loved the first Black Panther, but I just thought Black Panther Wakanda Forever deserves to be on this list. All right, then we got to go with another one that really disappointed me. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I mean, there's not much to say here. It was just terrible. It was just an awful, awful movie. Which broke my heart because I really love the other Ant-Man films. I really do. But Ant-Man 3 was just the, oh my God, this is bad. Then this list would not be complete without putting Secret Invasion on here. Oh my God. You know, Secret Invasion is the poster child to me of the truth of just because a script is good does not mean the movie or show will be good. I mean, it's a good start. Starting with a good, solid script, that's the best thing you can hope for. But it does not, because I read the script before the show came out, and it read pretty damn well. I mean, there were some things in it that even I went, but if you do it a certain way, it could look... I thought the script was really quite good, and then I saw the way they executed it, and I'm like, oh no, this did not play on the screen the way I had it play out in my head at all. I think there's an argument to be made. This would be a fun debate to have sometime. We won't do it right now. But I think there's an argument to be made that maybe Secret Invasion is the worst thing the MCU has ever made. I mean, again, I think it's debatable. I think there's discussion to have there. But if we did decide ever to do a discussion on the worst project the MCU ever made, I don't know if it'll come out on top, but Secret Invasion has to be in that discussion. It's got to be in that discussion. It was that bad, and it had so much potential. Oh, well. So there's that. Okay, so Secret Invasion. Then I got to put the Marvels. And you know what? I argue with people this all the time, and I'm happy to have this argument. I absolutely think the Marvels is better than it gets credit for. It really, like, I'm sorry. I sit down and I watch the movie and it's not great, but it's not all that bad. And whenever I push people on what specifically didn't you like, I always get these platitudes that are more like, well, just philosophically, I don't like that they did this. I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. I do that sometimes too, but did it work? And again, I am putting Marvels on the mediocre list. I'm not putting it on the good list, but there are some days I feel like I want to at least put it on the good list. Again, I'm just saying, I think it is better than it gets credit for. I think it's definitely better than it gets credit for, but it's not great. And so I am going to put it here on the mediocre to bad list. All right. Then another one that I kind of thought would be bad, and it did end up being bad, but it did have a lot of potential, Echo. Does anybody even remember Echo? When's the last time somebody brought up Echo in a topic conversation? It is such an utterly forgettable series that could have been really good. Like, you had a really, really good character. Like, you have in principle a really interesting character with Echo. You bring in the Daredevil and Kingpin ties. You could have made something pretty interesting there. But yeah, it's just an utterly forgettable show. And so I got to put Echo on this list. Next up, Captain America, Brave New World. Man, I love Anthony Mackie. I think that dude is one of the most fun, naturally charismatic characters. And I love the Sam character. I love Sam Wilson. But this movie, and you know, I don't like the idea of making any character. I don't want Bucky to be Captain America. I don't want Sam to be Captain America. Steve Rogers is Captain America. Is Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers. Period. Bucky should not have taken up the shield. Sam should not have taken up the shield. Nobody else should have taken up the shield. Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America. That being said, you still could have made a good movie. The idea of having Harrison Ford as the president and he becomes Red Hulk and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I thought there was potential, but it was not a good movie. It was not a good movie. And so it ends up on that bad list. Then, oh my goodness, this is another one I didn't have much hope in. And sure enough, it didn't work out to be all that great. Ironheart. Why do we have to have 80 different people being Iron Man? The one thing I will say for Ironheart, though, and Ironheart did have its moments. You know how I was just saying, like, Secret Invasion would have to be in the discussion of the worst things that that Marvel's ever made? Ironheart would not be on that list. I don't think Ironheart, like, it had some things going. It was a pretty disappointing show, but it had a few things going for it. Some interesting characters. There were some neat ideas. Hey, listen. Borat as Mephisto, that was great. It was only 5 minutes of great in an entire season of television, but having Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto, that whole scene where, like, Mephisto and Ironheart are having that conversation in the restaurant. Listen, if the rest of that series could have hit the quality level of that scene, we could have been talking. We could have been talking about something, because that was great. But yeah, unfortunately, it just ended up not being so good. So anyway, let's go back to this. Yes, since Endgame, we had a good amount of good stuff. There was a good amount of good stuff. But look at the list of mediocre to bad stuff. Look at this. Compared to the Marvel Cinematic Universe from Iron Man to Endgame, which would only have maybe 2 entries on a meaty to bad list, maybe 3. Since Endgame, we go like Black Widow, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange 2, Thor: Love and Thunder, She-Hulk, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Secret Invasion. Okay, so I think we have established here that in asking the question, is Marvel back, that they did need to come back, right? I think this entire list here kind of proves that, yes, they had fallen off their peak clip, and yes, they needed to come back. So have they come back? And you know what, guys? I am personally at a place where I am ready to say Marvel's back. I have not been willing to say that before. I've said it kind of feels like they're turning the corner. It's like, oh, they've strung a couple of good ones together now. But you know what? I think I am now at a place where I'm ready to say Marvel is back. I think Marvel is back. Because if you look at the last, okay, let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things. If you look at the last 8 things Marvel has done, it's been Deadpool and Wolverine, Agatha All Along, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Wonder Man, and what else am I missing? And the only things that have really missed in that stretch has been Ironheart. Well, really, that's it. So we had Deadpool, Agatha, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Wonder Man, and Daredevil Born Again Season 1 and Daredevil Born Again Season 2 against really just Ironheart and Captain America Brave New World. I really do feel at this point that it kind of feels like they have, I'm ready to say they've turned the corner. I'm ready to say they're back, because not only do they have kind of an impressive streak over their past 8 or 9 projects, everything coming up looks really good. Doomsday is going to be great. I'm hearing really good things about Spider-Man Brand New Day. And, you know, little birdies have told me that Vision Quest is going to be quite awesome. That Vision Quest is going to be quite awesome. And so, yeah, I'm ready to say they're back. Now, are they back at the same level of highest peak intensity of Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame? Well, maybe we still have a little bit of building up to go there. But I think it's pretty much fair to say they're back. Because here's the thing. Remember, the distinction I would make, you guys, some of you guys might remember this, that I had this distinction that I would make about Marvel pre-Endgame and Marvel post-Endgame. Okay? Here's the distinction I always made. Pre-Endgame and before, we went into all MCU projects expecting them to be great. All right? Pre-Endgame, we would go into a Marvel TV show movie. Well, we didn't get WandaVision yet, but we would go into a Marvel movie and we expected it to be great. We expected greatness, right? It didn't always work out that way, but they were so consistently good that when we would go into a Marvel movie, we just expected it to be great. Now, post-Endgame, we went into MCU movies, hoping they would be good. You see the difference? Pre-Endgame, we went in expecting greatness. The last few years, we've gone in hoping that it'll be good. Many times they were, sometimes they weren't. But that's the way it all worked out. And the way that kind of connects into now is if I said today, here's my thoughts today. I'll say this. I, just speaking for myself, now expect, if I can spell right, it to be good. I'm not back yet to expecting it to be great, but I've moved forward from hoping it'll be good. Today, I feel like now, after the last 8 or 9 projects they've put out, today I feel like now when I go into an MCU movie or TV show, I am expecting it to be good. Not at expecting it to be great yet, but I'm back to expecting it to be good. So anyway, guys, that's how I kind of feel about the whole thing. I think the answer to is Marvel back? It's taken me a while to say it, but you know what? After the last 8 or 9 projects, I'm going to say yes, I think they're back. Can they maintain that? Can they go higher? Will they fall off again? We'll find out as the months go on. But whatever you guys think, make sure you jump into the comments below and let me know what you guys think. Okay, guys. With that all down, it's now time for us to get on to the whole reason we're here, which is taking your comments and questions. And we're going to start off taking your comments and questions by first taking the questions that people have mailed in or used our tip link to send questions in because they're not watching us live. So let's go over and start taking those questions first, and then we'll get on to the questions that you guys who are watching live have been sending into the super chats. All right, we're going to start things off with Josh W., who writes, "Hey, John, what do you think Ryan Reynolds' mystery project is?" I have a pretty good idea what it is. Anyway, maybe a Disney Plus support group for heroes the Avengers don't want. Also, I unexpectedly lost my little sister. Oh man, I am so sorry to hear that. And hearing you talk about your mom has meant a lot. I am so sorry to hear that, man. And yeah, it's been just over a year now since I lost my mom. Everybody loses their parents. I know. It is not a unique experience to me. I fully understand this. I do. I've not gotten over it. I know everybody will tell me I never will. I get that. I don't like the world as much without my mom in it. You know what I mean? and I'm going to tell you this craziest thing. I don't know why this is TMI for sure, but I actually had a dream a few weeks ago. Just a couple of weeks ago, where I dreamed like I came home and my mom was here, and it was like everything was normal. And like in my dream, my mom hadn't passed away. Like I hadn't even considered the fact, like it was not a thing in my dream. Oh yeah, this is normal. My mom's here or whatever. Right. Oh guys, I woke up so sad. I woke up so sad. Yeah, but here's the thing. We expect to lose our parents at some point. I can't imagine losing one of my siblings. 'Cause that you don't expect that, right? You don't expect that. And that I can't even imagine how awful that would have been. So my deepest condolences to the loss of your sibling. That's terrible to hear. All right. That being said, yeah, I've got an idea about what Ryan's doing over there. I won't say anything about it. I will say it's not really, what you're suggesting at. Amin is saying, give us a hint. Well, I mean, Ryan himself has given hints, right? Even in his public statements, Reynolds has given hints himself. So I'm not gonna do or say anything that I'm not supposed to do or say. But I think if you really look at what he's already hinted, and yes, Sean, I cannot wait for Welcome to Wrexham to come back too. I love Welcome to Wrexham. I think Reynolds has given enough hints in his own public statements that I think you could probably start to piece together what it is he's got cooking. Anyway, there's that. Okay, let's move on here. Next up, we got Matan, who writes, do you think that Speed Racer failed with the critics and the box office because the Wachowskis catered too much to the kids with the film? It might have alienated some. And do you think the movie failing is what led digital to mimic film and CGI to be realistic? No, not at all. Listen, at the end of the day, it is really no more and no less complicated than this. Speed Racer failed because it's a bad movie. It's no more and no less complicated than that. It was just a bad movie. There are many movies catered more towards kids that become very, very successful. All that kind of stuff. It was just a bad movie. The dialogue was bad. The characters were hokey. But John, the original source material, listen, you're making a movie. You have to adapt, right? Stay true to the spirit, but whatever. And like, to me, and I've got some friends that really love Speed Racer. I think Rob's one of them. I think Rob really likes Speed Racer. But to me, it's just a terrible movie. And if you're looking for some secret magic bullet that was the cause for people not to like it, it's just simple. It really is the simplest thing. It just wasn't very good. Again, that's my own subjective opinion, but you asked me, so that's my answer for that. All right. Thanks, Matan. Next up, we got British Man Reviews, who writes, I was very surprised to see that Craig Mazin, writer of Chernobyl and The Last of Us, wrote the new Hugh Jackman Sheep movie, Sheep Detectives. Knowing this and that it currently holds a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, are you more excited to watch it? No. But at CinemaCon, when the studio was doing their presentation for it, one of the executives on stage said, and I totally believe them, I don't think they were just blowing smoke, said, this is my favorite film we have coming out. Like, everybody I've talked to over there is legitimately very enthusiastic about this movie. And the fact that it is written by Craig Mazin, it just doesn't look like a movie that's going to be appealing to me. Now, look, obviously, this happens all the time. There are things that are coming out that do not look good to me and don't look appealing to me. And then maybe eventually I love them. Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, for example. And maybe that'll happen here. And I am going to go see it immediately because Anne really wants to see it. But with the studio people legitimately loving it so much, I don't think it's going to do well at the box office. I think it's going to flop. I really do. But whether it flops or not is not the same question as to whether it's good or not. And with Craig Mazin writing it, all the studio people seem to really, really adore it. Hugh Jackman seems legitimately delighted by it. I won't be surprised if I end up liking it too. Again, I'm not going to lie and say I'm excited to see it. I'm not. But I might end up loving it. And so we'll have to see. And you're right. It was kind of crazy to see that Craig Mazin wrote it. All right, next up. We've got Caden Jones, who writes, hey guys, hope all's well with the Ms. Marvel basically confirming she's in Doomsday. I'm hoping we see White Tiger 2. You won't. I hope we see White Tiger 2 because I believe she is a perfect fit for the Young Avengers. I still don't believe they're ever going to do Young Avengers. And I've been loving her character in Daredevil when she shows up. Bring on the filthy. Yeah, so by the way, it wasn't Iman Vellani, the girl who plays Ms. Marvel. It wasn't her that let it slip that Ms. Marvel is in Doomsday. It was Andy Serkis who let it slip. It wasn't Iman Vellani. But Ms. Marvel is in Doomsday. But don't expect to see White Tiger. Both Kevin Feige and what's his name? Winterbaum or something like that? The head of Marvel Television. The head of Marvel Television and Animation have both basically said that moving forward, they are going to separate more and more the movies from the Disney Plus shows. They all still happen in the same universe. Like, it's all still the MCU. But they've been pretty... Winterbaum, thank you. Dank points out as Winterbaum. Okay, I wasn't terribly far off. He's the guy who's he works under Kevin Feige, but he looks after the Disney Plus stuff and animation. Anyway, so both Kevin Feige and Brad Winterbaum have pointed out that they are going to be separating the movies from the shows more. So now that does not mean it's impossible. For example, we're about to see Frank Castle in Spider-Man. Now that could be a special circumstance, who knows, but still there's an exception, right? So theoretically, they could also make an exception for White Tiger. I'm just saying it is unlikely. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I am saying it's unlikely because, again, Feige and Winterbaum have both kind of made a point to point out they're going to start separating. They're all still in the MCU, but they're going to start separating the movies from the TV show. So we'll see how that actually means. All right. Next up, Alan S. writes, "Hey, John, I think with Nintendo, they have a chance to find success. Yes, not all IP is known, but at one time, Luke Skywalker wasn't known either." Okay, see, that's a bad argument that a lot of people bring up, and I'm going to address that in a second. But yes, it will not be guaranteed success like Mario. Well, Mario wasn't guaranteed success either. Love your show and happy summer movie season. All right, so here's the thing. The only reason... And I say this as somebody who liked the last Mario. I don't like the newest Mario movie. I think Mario Brother Galaxy is not a good movie. But I did like the last one. As a fan of that last one, that made like $1.3 billion at the box office, let's be honest. Nobody went to go see it because it looked like a great story. People went to go see it because it was Mario. And they played Mario 40 years ago. And they played Mario 30 years ago. And they played Mario 20 years ago and 10 years ago and 5 years ago. And today they're still playing Mario games. Mario only made any money because it was Mario, right? I say that as a fan of the movie. I think you as a fan of the movie can say that too. If there was no such thing as Mario Brothers in Nintendo, and just this Mario movie came out, it doesn't make $1 billion. That's what Nintendo is riding on, is the IP recognizability. The challenge for Nintendo is that none of their other properties have that recognizability. None of them do. None of them have that kind of nostalgia. None of that have multi-generational fandoms that have run from our grandparents' days up to today. Just none of them do. I've always said the closest thing they have to that is Zelda. And Zelda's not even on Mario's level. But that's the closest thing, and they are making a live-action Zelda. So when it comes to Star Fox or a Yoshi movie or whatever, I just don't see it working. Now, of course, you can still make a good movie. Absolutely. Lego made a great Lego movie out of a movie about building blocks. You can still make a great movie. I'm just saying they're not going to have anywhere near the success that Mario Brothers did. Maybe Bowser, because that's a spin-off of the Mario movie. Maybe Peach and Rosalina, because that's a direct spin-off of the Mario movie. But I just don't see it happening. I hope I'm wrong, and I could be wrong. I absolutely could be, but I just don't think it's going to happen that, because it's all built on the nostalgia. It's all built on the recognizability of the IP, and just nothing else Nintendo has comes close to it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Thanks for that, Alan. Next up, Dildar the Glorious writes, how much of the quality and reviews of Michael do you think was attributed to the forced rewrites? And is that the reason why it was played safe? I think, listen, as somebody who really who enjoyed Michael, the movie, and had a good time with it, and as somebody who gave it a positive review, I've still been very open that the movie has its weaknesses. And I totally understand the criticisms that other critics have given it and that led them not to like the movie. All this nonsense BS of excuses people make up. Critics just said they didn't like it because they don't like Michael Jackson. No, they just didn't like the movie. It's really that simple. Quit coping and quit making up excuses. They just didn't like the movie. And listen, as somebody who did like the movie, I can see why. I can. I mean, I'm still going to go see it again because boom, 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 boom. I had a good time with it, whatever. I think about the movie and I start dancing. But I get it. But you know what? One never knows what really went wrong, but I think you're in the right ballpark. For those of you who don't know, Michael was pretty much finished production when they found out that the Michael Jackson estate forgot that there was this whole bunch in the movie that they're not allowed to make a movie out of. And it wasn't Lionsgate's fault at all. It was the Michael Jackson estate's fault. And so they were forced to go back, trash a whole bunch of the movie that they shot, and had to recobble it back together. Now, do I think this movie probably, like some of the weaknesses of the movie never would have existed had the original version of the film come out? We'll never know for sure, but my guess is we would have had a better movie overall. One that maybe more critics would have enjoyed more. I do, listen, that's a big deal. What they went through in the production of that movie is a big deal. And I absolutely have very little doubt. Again, we'll never know for sure, but I don't personally have any doubt that that absolutely affected a lot of the movie and affected a lot of the quality of it. Thankfully, the music numbers and all that stuff were still toe tapping and great and joyous. But yeah, I think you're probably right. I think we would have ended up with a better overall movie that a lot more of the critics would have liked too if the original vision had come out. But unfortunately, that was impossible for them. Good question, Dildar. All right, next up. We got Gavin Kaggle, who writes, John, I haven't been watching as long as others, but this month marks 4 years. Oh, wow. Thank you, man. Since I found your channel, you become a daily part of my life for 4 years now. Thank you for all you do, and I wish you the best. I'll miss you and your show when you eventually hang up the cape, but it's a well-earned retirement. Also, with all the Marvel goodness this year, don't forget about X-Men 97 Season 2 coming at some point this year. I'm almost more excited for it than Doomsday or Spider-Man. Listen, people get mad at me for the fact that I don't gush over X-Men 97. And like, I really liked it. I really liked X-Men 97. It was one of those shows that I would, on the days that new episodes would drop, I would stay up until midnight to make sure I could watch the new episode of X-Men 97 immediately as it dropped. I really liked it. But this is the weird thing about fandom, man. I got so many people mad at me because I didn't like it enough. John, you have to bend a knee and say it's the greatest thing ever. I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever. Like, let's call a spade a spade. It was a very simplified, very Twitter bite-sized things done, packed into very short periods of time and done very surface level. But it was done great. Like, I watched the original X-Men animated show when it was on. I used to love that show. And I thought X-Men 97 was really good, and I enjoyed it a lot. I just don't have it nearly. Yeah, I just don't worship X-Men 97 the way a number of other people do. And by the way, I'm not detracting from anybody who does love it that much. If you love it that much, that is awesome. You're neither right nor wrong for feeling that way. Your opinion and impression of the show is no more and no less valid than mine. I'm just saying I thought it was a really good revival of that old animation show, and I'm looking forward to it coming back, and I can't wait to watch it. I just don't think it's as good as some people kind of gush it to be, but that's just me. I mean, we're all on the same team. I'm a thumbs up on X-Men 97 very much. I enjoy it a lot. Yes, it's the best thing Marvel's ever done. No, it fucking isn't. Again, if you feel it is, you're not wrong. You're not right. I'm just saying, to me, no, it's not in the conversation of the best thing Marvel's ever done, but I really do enjoy it. And I am also looking forward to it coming back as well. All right. Vince Carter of Mars writes, "Hey, John, long time, no message, but still watch every show." Thank you so much, Vince. Appreciate that, man. Just saw the trailer for the new Re. I don't know what Re is. Oh, Resident Evil. You're right, Resident Evil. Baron Harkonnen will return to Resident Evil. I'll tell you what, I haven't been paying attention a lot to the new Resident Evil stuff until CinemaCon. And they showed us this big presentation of the new Resident Evil at CinemaCon. And it looks bonkers. It looks bonkers. And listen, I'm going to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Resident Evil films. I'm not the biggest fan of Resident Evil films. There. But I gotta say, I thought the trailer for the new Resident Evil looked pretty good. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to like the movie. It doesn't mean the movie's good. But yeah, man, I actually think it looks pretty solid. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, man. I really am. All right. Thanks for writing that in, Vince. Next up, Sky Chamber writes, "Hey, John, there's been a lot of buzz recently regarding Obsession. Barker actually filmed some scenes at my family's business." Oh, that's cool. Family's business, which are the shots of the music store. "What do you hope for this film and for Barker's career moving off of YouTube? Thanks, Bring on the Filthy." Well, I don't really have any thoughts about that part, but I have been very intrigued by Obsession ever since that first trailer dropped. Now, for those you may not know, this is the one with the trailer of the guy in the car and he like makes a wish. Like there's this little thing, here's how you make a wish and it'll come true. And there's a little phone number. And so he makes a wish and he wishes for this girl that he's got a crush on would love him more than anybody else in the world. And this is a movie that falls back on the old trope of be careful what you wish for because you may get it. And I think this movie looks great. I really do. I'm not the biggest horror guy in the world. Like I like a good horror movie as much as anybody else, but like, I'm not a horror aficionado, but I'll tell you what, man, there's a lot of really good looking horror films coming out. Like this, between this and that one Passenger, I'm really stoked for both of those. Like both of them. I'm really excited for. So here's hoping they both turn out to be as good as we're hoping. All right, guys. That does it for all of the tip-in questions that people sent in who cannot watch us live. So it is now time for us to go over to the live super chats that you guys have been sending in here today. And we've already got we got a bunch of them. Okay, so let's go over and start taking your questions that you guys have been sending in, shall we? And we're going to start off here with, I believe it's Al. Yes, Al is the first one up. Al says 1 of 2. I'd say yes and no. The reality is Marvel is still going to have its ups and downs, and that's fine. Every studio is going to have a bad day at the office, and we should stop with constantly switching back and forth between Marvel's back and Marvel's dead. Well, see, this is the reason why I said this a little bit earlier. Like when Marvel puts out one good project, I've not been willing to say, okay, now I think Marvel's back. You've got to give it a longer stretch. The reason, and by the way, saying Marvel's back does not mean they're never going to have a bad project. Even pre-Endgame, they had 1 or 2 or arguably 3 bad projects. But in general, have they gotten in their groove? And for me, I've never been willing to say yes or no based on 1 or 2 projects, but looking at their record of their past 8 or 9 projects, where they're like 7-2 or 8-2, now I'm after a long stretch of what I believe to be improved quality, better stuff. Again, Ironheart notwithstanding, but I don't think Ironheart was total garbage. And Captain America Brave New World, which again, I don't think was good, but I don't think was total garbage either. Those 2 things being the outliers. We had a long string of stuff over the past 1.5 to 2 years that I thought has been good to great. You know, Fantastic Four was good. Thunderbolts was great. Deadpool was great. Agatha All Along was good. Wonder Man was great. Daredevil season 1 and 2 have been great. I am I am now, after a larger sample size for myself personally, ready to say they're back. And again, you're right. They will absolutely have a less than great offering at some point. Sure. But I think they're now getting back closer to that, 9-1 good to bad ratio that they had pre-Endgame than they have been the 1-1. Like one good one for every one bad one that we've had since Endgame. I think they're getting back to that better ratio. So that's why I'm personally willing to say at this point that they are. But you're right. We shouldn't just go back and forth with every single one. Like as soon as they put out one bad one, we shouldn't go, oh, Marvel's dead. It was one bad movie. If just because they put out one really good one, say Marvel's back to their peak. Well, that was one thing. But again, I'm basing this on looking at their last 8 or 9 things they put out. And that's why at this point now, for the first time in years, I'm ready to say I think they're back. But we'll see. We'll see. Good points though, Al. All right, next up. Michonne writes, hey, John, what are your thoughts on Daredevil Born Again and also The Boys so far? I think they've been great this year. I think they've been great. The last episode of The Boys where, listen, it's been out for days now. If you don't know what happens in The Boys, then you're not watching The Boys, so it doesn't matter. But that whole thing of him killing Firecracker, that was her name, right? Correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat, but her name was Firecracker, right? That was such a powerful episode to me. Because to me, this is where art imitates life. And you got to remember, this season was written prior to the last election. This was written and a lot of it shot before the last presidential election happened. But let me just speak from you don't have to agree with my point of view. That's fine. I'm just telling you what mine is. You believe whatever you want to believe. Okay. I'm not telling you what to believe. By the way, can we get to a point in our society where somebody can tell you what they believe without you interpreting it or all of us interpreting it as if them trying to make us believe it? Just because I tell you something I believe, does not mean I'm telling you, you have to believe it too. Okay. Can we accept that? Anyway, as somebody with and again, I'm just speaking for myself, as somebody with a background of faith, right? You guys know I was a Bible college student, I'm a theologian, all that kind of stuff, worked with churches. The reason that whole Firecracker episode to me was so poignant and so powerful was because, in my opinion and in my interpretation, what I have seen is the American church more and more abandoning the principles of their faith and replacing it with the principles of their political beliefs. And that I have seen, that is kind of represented in, like we see that in The Boys, where Homelander and the Seven and all that kind of stuff are, to be a person of faith means you believe this, which is contradictory to what the faith teaches. And slowly but surely, American faith has more and more replaced Jesus with their own personal political beliefs. And again, maybe this is TMI, and forgive me and everything too, but listen, maybe someday I'll do a sermon. Maybe I'll record a sermon someday and put it up on YouTube. But here's the thing. And again, this is just me explaining why I feel the way I feel, okay? Even at the times in the New Testament era, even in Jesus's time, A lot of people felt like the faith was a very complicated thing with many rules and regulations and what you're supposed to do and the timing of certain things and all this kind of stuff. And to me, there's a story in the Bible, which you can believe or not believe. It's fine. But there's a story in the Bible where in the midst of all that confusion, somebody just straight up asked Jesus, okay, like, what do I got to do to go to heaven? Like, really, just sum it up for me. What do I got to do to go to heaven? What's the whole idea? What's the whole gist of this faith thing? And Jesus made it real simple. He said this, there are two things. One is what you do, and one is how you do it. Okay? One is what you got to do, and the second thing is how you go about doing it. And Jesus made the whole idea of faith very, very, very simple. He said this, what do you got to do? Number one, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. So that's what he said. That you want to get what faith means? This is it. Love God. That's it. That's the whole thing. Now, he followed that up with a second thing. And it's if the first thing is what you got to do, the second thing is how do you do it? How do you show it? He said, number one, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And the second is this, love your neighbor as you love yourself. You want to love God? Here's how you do it. You love God by loving the people around you. That's how you do it. You can't say you love God if you hate the people around you. You can't say you love God and spit on the people around you. You can't do it. And just in case we were all too stupid to get it, Jesus then lived a life showing what loving your neighbor meant. And meant being kind to his enemies. And meant serving people who were the outcasts. It meant doing all this kind of stuff. Anyway, getting back to the boys and how that all ties in. As I have sat back and watched an American church more and more reject the ideas of Jesus in place of their own prejudices, like we hate these people, therefore our faith is now about hating those people. We see the boys kind of embodying that and showing that we had this, and then we have a character like Firecracker. And this is why I thought Firecracker was so profound. Firecracker is somebody who went along with it and then at some point just realized this is wrong. I've been buying into it, whether it's out of fear or my own prejudices were being validated, so I went along with it. But at some point for Firecracker, it just became too much. And when that happened, Homelander turned on her. Does that sound familiar? Does that look familiar to our real world? Anyway. And so, again, this is just me explaining why I feel the way I feel. This is not me telling you how to feel. But that's why when I watched that episode of The Boys, it was so profound. I remember I think I called Rob right away. I'm like, have you seen the new episode of The Boys yet? And he hadn't. So I had to wait till I saw him the next day when he had and say, this, like, I just thought that episode was just so profound. I thought it was so profound. So anyway, yeah, it's kind of funny that we have shows like The Boys who are kind of in a parabolic sort of way talking about issues of faith, and Daredevil in its own unique way also sometimes addresses and talks about issues of faith. But anyway, again, that's just me, not me telling anybody else what to think or believe or whatever. You just asked me a question, so I just answered it the best way I could. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Thanks, Michonne. Next up, Keaton Haybeck writes, can you give a breakdown of how Tony and Steve are the pillars of the MCU and how without them they've been a little directionless? Well, I'm not going to go 20 minutes into it, but I have explained this many times before. I've talked about this a lot. Is that like when you break down the MCU up until Endgame, yes, you've had a lot of great characters and a lot of great stories, but really the two characters, the two pillars were Steve and Tony, right? Iron Man and Captain America. And they represented different elements of the MCU for sure, but they were the heart and the soul and the identity. And not just the characters in Tony and Steve, but Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. were also the faces of the MCU. And one of the things, it's not the only thing, it's not even the most major thing, but one of the things that I think led to Marvel feeling a little directionless after Endgame was I don't know if they were fully prepared enough to how to fill the void and the gaps left by literally the heart and the soul and the faces of the MCU suddenly being gone. And again, I think the passing of Chadwick Boseman threw a wrench in that too, because I don't know this as a fact. This is just me guessing as a fan, but I think Chadwick Boseman probably was going to play a role in that. I think Chadwick Boseman, and that probably hurt their case too. But I think that it definitely has been that, and it's taken away a bit of the identity of the MCU. When you lose your pillar characters who are the heart and the soul of the franchise, and the two actors who are literally the faces of the franchise, and that's all gone, it's hard to reestablish what the identity of the franchise is. And I think they've started to get that back, but that's why I feel that's been an important thing for them. Anyway, good question, Keaton. Next up, Ryan Lonnie. By the way, I am going to turn off super chats here in a minute. I meant to turn off super chats a little while ago. There's already a ton of super chats in. So if you do still have a super chat, you got another minute or so to send it in. Then I'm going to turn them off and just address all the ones that we've got sent in. Okay. Ryan writes, thoughts on Gen V cancellation? Not surprised. Because I really think the whole purpose of Gen V was, besides fleshing out the world of the boys a little bit more, was to get us to Marie. That's the character's name, right? I'm not getting that mixed up. It is Marie, right, guys? Anyway, I think the whole point of the show was really to get us to Marie. And they've already said that while Gen V is now over, we are still going to see a number of those characters. We're going to see a number of those characters and other things. Because remember, we have other shows coming. There are other shows in the boys universe coming, and we are going to see a number of these characters that are going to proceed. And as long as they do that, then there really wasn't a need to have a season 3 or 4 of Gen V if we're still going to carry on some of the characters moving forward. Okay, give me a second here, guys, as I turn off the super chats, because yeah, I left them on way too long. So this, yeah, I was thinking we were going to go an hour today, and we're already approaching an hour and a half. So, okay, let's get back over to it. Let's see, where did we leave off? Oh, I went too far. Where did we leave off? We left off with Ryan. There we go. So the next one for Ryan. To me, The Boys season 5, episode 5 might be one of their best. Supernatural reunion, great character work, unique structure, and jaw-dropping ending. Your thoughts? The only thing I didn't love, and I understand why they did it, and it was a good swing, but the only thing I didn't love about that episode was the kind of fourth wall breaking with having Seth Rogen playing Seth Rogen and McLovin playing McLovin, and, you know, having all these guys playing themselves. I think you could have still gotten away with that show by just having, you know, Jared and Misha playing their characters. I love the idea that he was a former member of the Seven. I like that. And then just had some random guys there for him to run through and blow up their bodies. I didn't really dig the real life celebrities playing themselves. Part of it, that felt, I don't know, it felt even more gimmicky than, because The Boys is based on a gimmick, and gimmick is not a good or a bad thing. It can be good, it can be bad, but that just felt like it pushed a little bit too much for me. Still, overall, I loved the episode. I really did. Especially, well, first of all, I love the, what's the name of the dog? Terror? By the way, did you see the dog died? The dog who plays Terror in The Boys, I just saw an announcement yesterday that the dog passed away. I'm so sad to hear that. But anyway, I love the whole thing about telling the story from Terror's point of view. I love the whole thing. Again, the firecracker part to me was the most profound and the most moving. Yeah, I thought it was really good. All right, next up. Piano writes, never have I seen The Devil Wears Prada, yet I really enjoyed the sequel. How about you? Yeah, you know what? Because I haven't felt great the last couple of days, I didn't go to see The Devil Wears Prada 2. Anne really wants to go see it. We may very well go see it tonight. The first one is a surprisingly solid movie. And I know it's just got this image of it's just a chick flick, and there's some truth to that. But it's also true that it's a very solid film. It's a really enjoyable film, that first one. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the sequel. Hopefully I'll get a chance to go see it tonight. All right, next up. Bry Guy writes, got 2 big game 7s for us Central Floridians. Who do you got? Magic versus Pistons, Canadians versus Lightnings. Listen, I don't think you can come back from what the Magic went through. I don't think you can come back from that. You're leading by 24 at halftime and you lose. It's a game. It's a closeout game. You had them right where you wanted them, and you scored 19 points in the second half. I don't think you recover from that. And Detroit is just the better team. And Orlando had a chance and they botched it. And that was a dagger to their heart. I don't think they come back from that. So I'm predicting Detroit wins and probably wins handily. And I just think obviously the last remaining Canadian team is Montreal. So I'm cheering for them, but the Lightning are a better team. So I'm thinking the Lightning win. So let's see what happens. All right. Ecats writes, hey, Unc Campea, me and my brother are going to dress up as Spidey for the new movie. Hopefully I can get some variation of the John Watts suit. Just be careful. Remember, you cannot wear masks. Just keep that in mind when you're going. That be ready that, I don't know, maybe you can put it on when the movie starts, but why would you do that? Just remember, don't make other people feel uncomfortable by going to a movie theater with your face fully covered. Just be careful of that. Like, bring the mask along, pop it on to take some pictures, but just be ready that for a lot of it, you're going to need to have your mask off. That's the only thing I would encourage you about. All right. Let's see. Next up, Murray Reich writes, man, what a time to be a Boston sports fan. Yeah. I mean, listen, I feel bad for the Celtics. You know, Jason Tatum goes down again. You don't have him in that big game. They made a big push in the end. I think they got it to within 1 with a few minutes of the game. Then they lost. So Bruins got beat out by the Sabres. Go Sabres, go. And the Celtics got knocked out. Not great time. But hey, you know what? You made it to the playoffs. That's more than I can say for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So yeah, at least take some solace in that. All right, Nico writes, you think these new box office numbers for Project Hail Mary and Mario legit? They just catapulted all of a sudden. Well, the Project Hail Mary hasn't catapulted all that much. I mean, Project Hail Mary was already over 600 million, and then it's gone up to like 700 and something million. But for those of you who haven't seen it, the Mario Brothers numbers on Box Office Mojo like went from 800 or 900 million overnight to 1.8 billion. That is definitely a glitch. That's gotta be a glitch. That's not possible. Not unless anything. Like, that's gotta be a glitch, right? And Mina's saying it's saying in Mexico it made over 1 billion, and they simply don't have the population to do that. So that probably has something to do with it today. But yes, I'm guessing that's a glitch. The Project Hail Mary one, I don't know, because that's a big jump, but going from 600 something million to 700 something million is not that big of a jump as going from like 800 something million to 1.8 billion dollars. Like, so clearly, yeah, somewhere in there, there's some kind of a glitch. I'm sure they'll get it cleared up by tomorrow. All right, next up, Hayden writes, I sat down and watched all 3 seasons of Shrinking, never laughed and cried so much at a single show before. Truly masterful writing and acting. Guys, I know I am a prophet. I am an evangelist walking through the desert, trying to spread the good word of shrinking. Watch this show, guys. It's the best thing on television right now. Well, we're in between seasons, so maybe I can't say that. But it's one of the best things you can possibly watch on television right now. For a series that is currently ongoing, and, because we're getting ready to head into season 4, it is simply one of the best things you can possibly watch. It is ridiculously hilarious and one of the most emotionally moving shows I've seen. It's absolutely incredible. So yes, guys, follow Hayden's example. Watch Shrinking. You will not be disappointed if you do. All right. Animesh writes, I recently binged all of Ted Lasso, speaking of shows that are coming back, and Jamie Tart, the Jamie Tart chant is stuck in my head like I'm on my bed at 2 a.m. and my brain goes, Jamie Tart, yeah, so it's done to the baby shark thing. I remember I laughed my ass off. By the way, that is such a charming and delightful show. I mean, truly, they're both on Apple TV, but Ted Lasso and Shrinking are absolutely cousins. Like, they're just both shows about good people who are broken and all trying to do good things. And there's something warm and delightful and wonderful. Now, I actually think Shrinking surpassed Ted Lasso. I think Shrinking's better than Ted Lasso, but Ted Lasso is amazing, and I'm very excited about it coming back. Jamie Tart. Okay, Patrick Larson writes, Spider-Man Brand New Day makes more money than Doomsday? Not a chance in hell. No chance. Zero chance. Absolutely zero chance. Let's say both movies were coming out on the same day. Doomsday makes far more money. Makes more money. The very fact that Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out first, and Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be really good. That's what I hear. Spider-Man Brand New Day being really good is only going to increase the box office for Spider-Man or for Avengers Doomsday. It's only going to increase the box office. If people go to see Spider-Man Brand New Day and have a great time, they're all going back for Doomsday. Only more enthusiastically so. So yeah, there is no chance Spider-Man Brand New Day makes more than Doomsday. Zero chance. I mean, it can make a lot. It can make a ton, but more than Doomsday? Nope, won't make more than Doomsday. No chance. And that's the thing. The better Spider-Man is, the more money Doomsday will make. Yes, the better Spider-Man is, the more money Spider-Man will make. But the better Spider-Man is, the more money Doomsday will make. So yeah, there's just no chance. All right, Animesh writes, we need a lot more of this genre of positivity drama, like I was just talking about this, like Ted Lasso, Shrinking, and Rooster. I haven't started watching Rooster yet. And they don't talk about right and wrong, moral and immoral. They just talk about the humanity of it all. You know what? I have not started watching Rooster. Ann and I started watching that new Michelle Pfeiffer, Elle Fanning, and what's the name of the guy who plays Ron Swanson again? Nick Offerman. They have a new show called Somebody Has Money Problems. Like it's the girl's name has money problems. I can't remember the name of the character though. And it was okay. But Margot's got money troubles. That's what it is. Thank you, Alex. Alex in the live chat saying Margot's got money troubles. And it's okay. But I think we're going to ditch it and start watching Rooster. That's the new Steve Carell show. Steve Carell, they had that Space Force show, which wasn't very good. But this one looks like it's more up Steve Carell's alley. And I'm hearing really, really good thing about Rooster. So I think I'm going to start watching Rooster this week. All right. Thanks for that, Animesh. Thomas Bombadil writes, hey, John, are you watching Widow's Bay on Apple TV? No, I am not. I've never seen such a unique mix of true horror and hilarious comedy. Matthew Rhys is a chef's kiss. You know what? It's funny. Anne wants to start watching that because, correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat, but the lead guy in Widow's Bay is married to Felicity. What's her name? She's the star of The Diplomat. That show's great, by the way. That show's great. Kerry Russell. Thank you. Alex again coming to it. Kerry Russell. But I think the lead guy of Widow's Bay is married in real life to Kerry Russell. Anyway, it looks really interesting, and I've heard great things about it, but I have not started watching it yet. So I will. I think I will at some point give it a shot. All right. Thanks for that. Thanks for the recommendation, Thomas. All right. R. Lee writes, Michael has crossed 400 million mark and will likely cross $500 million by next weekend. Although I don't think it'll hit $1 billion. I don't think it needs it in order to be successful. Do you agree? Oh, of course it doesn't need $1 billion to be successful. It's already successful. And by the end of its box office run, it's going to be very profitable. No movie in history, other than the upcoming Doomsday, but no movie in history, no matter what you've heard or read, no movie in history has ever needed $1 billion to break even or become profitable. It's never happened, okay? Not the latest Avatar movie, nothing. The new Doomsday movie, maybe. But up until this point in history, never. And Michael wasn't even all that ludicrously expensive. It was expensive to make, but it wasn't ludicrously expensive to make. It's going to be a very profitable movie. And look, I always said, and I still believe, that Michael had all the potential in the world to be $1 billion film. But it would also depend on exactly how good it was. And while I like Michael, and I think everybody should see it, I said after I saw it, I don't think it's good enough to hit the $1 billion mark. It's still going to be ridiculously successful. Ridiculously successful. But not $1 billion club successful. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to hit it. I mean, listen, it could get a second wind. You never know. But I don't think it's going to hit the $1 billion mark. All right. But yes, it'll still be absolutely profitable and successful. Make no mistake about it. All right. Next up, NMS writes, the side characters and their arcs in Born Again Season 2 are probably the most I've loved in any of the Daredevil seasons, quantity with quality. Yeah, especially like Soprano Jr. Man, his death really shocked me. I was really starting to really like that character. And you're right. One of the big things that's an improvement in Daredevil Born Again Season 2 compared to Season 1 is how good the stories for the secondary characters have been. They've been, I think, much better. And I think that's one of the big major reasons why I think Season 2 has been better than Season 1. Joshua writes, if you haven't watched already, I can't recommend Rooster. I was just talking about this. Rooster on HBO enough. It has the same feel of Ted Lasso and Shrinking, and Steve Carell is great. Yeah, listen, it's Steve Carell. Now, great. Again, Space Force wasn't so good, but it's Steve Carell. And you got to give Steve Carell the benefit of the doubt. I think he's just one of the funniest guys in the business. And correct me if I'm wrong, is Rooster also an Apple TV show? I can't remember. Help me out in the line. I know there's like a 15-second delay between when I say something and when you actually hear it, but is it? Oh, it's an HBO show. It's an HBO show. Okay. Well, I mean, HBO is the highest pillar of excellence. So I am definitely, yes, 100%, especially with all you guys recommending it. I'm definitely going to get on Rooster this week. Definitely going to get on Rooster. All right. Thanks for that, Joshua. Rich Reviews writes, what is currently your bottom 5 so far this year? I don't do lists from Q&As. The only time I do top 5, top 10 lists is when I plan them in advance and actually set them up. I don't carry that off the top of my head, and I don't do lists from questions. So I couldn't tell you right now what the bottom 5 is this year. All right. Rachel Knight Online writes, my issue with The Boys' final season is it feels more like a setup for Vought Rising. Why do shows with prequels on the way stop standing on their own? Rachel, I got to tell you, I completely disagree. Because most of the time I forget that Vought Rising is even coming. This really does feel like Like, to me, I look at this and it's like, to me, The Boys has always been about, at its heart, Homelander and Butcher. A lot of other characters along the way really making it happen. But at the end of the day, it's Homelander and Butcher, and the whole idea of The Boys of taking Homelander down. And this whole season really does feel like it's racing towards that finish line. I don't feel anything. Again, I'm just speaking for myself here, Rachel. I don't feel anything about Vought Rising at all. All I see is us heading towards that finish line of Homelander and Butcher. And whatever comes after that, comes after that. And if they can plant some seeds and set some things up to come after that, great. But all I have seen in my tunnel vision is I've never once even considered Vought Rising, or apparently they're going to be doing a Soldier Boy spinoff, or I haven't thought about any of that stuff. All I see is this show heading in a very straight line towards the finish line of the story that started when A-Train ran through Huey's girlfriend. And that's all I kind of see, to be honest. So, for me personally, I don't feel the same thing you feel. I really don't. I don't feel like this has just been a setup for Vought Rising at all, to me. Again, I'm not taking away your experience with it, but I'm just saying, for me, I haven't seen that at all, or I don't sense that at all in it. But that's just me. All right, thanks for that, Rachel. Brady Guy writes, "Hey, John, big fan of you. Thank you so much. Have you heard anything about a Star Wars Starfighter teaser for May 4th? I have not. Now, here's the thing, though. They finished principal photography on Starfighter a while ago, which is why going into CinemaCon, since all the principal photography is done, I mean, obviously there's still editing, visual effects, all that kind of stuff, but the photography has been done on it for a while. So going into CinemaCon, I really expected that they would show us something just to get everybody excited, but they didn't. May 4th, which is tomorrow, could they drop something? I mean, maybe, but I suspect if they drop anything, it'll be like something we've already got. It'll be a still image, maybe a couple of still images. I don't think the movie's still so far away. I don't think they're going to drop any kind of a teaser or anything, but I don't know, maybe for May 4th, they give us a little something, but my guess is the extent of it will be still images, but I'll take that too. So we'll see. I have I don't have super high hopes for Mandalorian, although my hopes for Mandalorian have gone up since CinemaCon and they showed us the first 17 minutes of the movie. And the first 17 minutes of Mandalorian look really good, but I do have high expectations and hopes for Starfighter. So we'll see. All right. Thanks for that, Brad, or Brady, I should say. Amin writes, with Narnia moving off the November 26th release date, what are the odds Doomsday moves there? Or is it already too late because they've committed to December 18th? I think if they were going to move, they would have made the announcement at CinemaCon where all the movie theaters were. All the movie theater owners from around the world were there and represented at CinemaCon. And if they were ever going to change that date, because we're already now in May, if they were going to change the date, I believe it would have been announced there. And I 50-50 kind of half expected them to change the date, but they didn't. And so I think that ends it. I think that ends the discussion. I think they are I think Doomsday is now a go. I think it's happening. And again, nothing's impossible. But again, I just think if they were going to change the date, they would have announced a change of date at CinemaCon. All right. Espinoza writes, there is speculation that Taylor Swift is doing an original song for Toy Story 5. I think I heard that too. I think that's official. I don't think that's speculation. I could be wrong about that. After a countdown with the Toy Story sky in the back appeared and disappeared on her website last Thursday. Thoughts? I don't know anything about that. And quite frankly, I don't care if Taylor Swift has a song in Toy Story. And I have all the respect in the world for Taylor Swift. I really do. But, my all-time favorite band is U2. I really wouldn't care if they were making a song special for Toy Story 5 either. I really don't care. I don't care. It's not going to make the movie better. It's not going to make the movie worse. So I really don't care. And again, I don't mean that as any disrespect to Taylor Swift, who I have a lot of respect for, but even if it was U2, hell, if it was the Rolling Stones, if it was Coldplay, it doesn't matter. Who cares? It's not going to do anything for the movie. So I don't really care personally, but I have heard, and it has nothing to do with what you're talking about there, Espinoza, but I have heard that she was doing a song for the movie, but how true that is, not true that is, I can't really say with any conviction at this point. All right. Thanks, man. Rachel Knight Online writes, who are some actors you love, but think that it's beyond past time that they fire their agent? For me, Aaron Paul, Keegan-Michael Key come to mind. Aaron Paul for sure. Keegan-Michael Key, I don't know, man. He's kept really busy. He gets kept really busy. And by the way, he had a great role in Timothée Chalamet's Wonka, which, by the way, that movie does not get enough credit and enough love. Wonka is great. I don't care what anybody else says. That's a great movie. And Keegan-Michael Key was wonderful in it. Do you have a sweet tooth? I thought he was wonderful. So yeah, sometimes he appears in some nonsense, but he keeps very, very busy. I'll tell you the guy that I really think. And it's funny because me and my buddy were just talking about this yesterday, because there's a new commercial out with the same two. It's a totally different company. It's a totally different ad for a totally different industry. But a new commercial came out that has the two guys from the old Mac commercials. I'm a Mac. I'm a PC. It's the same two guys. And I remember that commercial came on. It was for something completely different. And I turned to my buddy and said, that dude, Justin Long, should absolutely be a global superstar. He should absolutely be a global superstar. He's a wonderful actor, fantastic, natural comedic talents on screen. For those of you who don't know who I'm talking about with Justin Long, he was in the original Jeepers Creepers, which he was great in. He's the nerd kid in Galaxy Quest. He was in Dodgeball, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, the long distance relationship movie he did with, I'm forgetting who he did that movie with. Drew Barrymore, I think. He was in, somebody just mentioned, he was in Tusk. He was the star of Tusk. He is fantastic. I love him. He also had a recurring role in New Girl for a while that he was really good in. He's great. This guy should be a global superstar. In the comedy circles, he should be right up there, recognizable with Paul Rudd, Seth Rogen. Like, he should be right up there, and he's not. And he's got all the talent. He needs better representation, I think. Or I don't know, maybe it's not his representation's fault either, but that's just the first thing that comes to mind. Anyway. All right. DeCake writes, what record is harder to break? Expedition 33, 9 awards at the Game Awards, or Return of the King, 11 Oscar wins. Because you know why? They make up so many bullshit categories at the Game Awards. They really do. That it's whatever. 11 Oscar wins in 1 year. I don't know that that'll ever be broke. And by the way, it's not just Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Two other films, I believe it's Titanic, and why am I freezing on the third one? Anybody else? What's the third one? I know that I've talked about the three before and I'm freezing on it. What's the third one? I believe it's Titanic, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and what's the third one? Again, I know there's a delay in between when you guys see it and when it comes out, but Let me know what that throw. Anyway, so that is the right. And by the way, Return of the King is the only film ever. Oh, Ben-Hur. Thank you, Vezel. Yes, Ben-Hur. Thank you, man. Return of the King is the only film ever to be nominated for like over 9 awards and sweep. It was Lord of the Rings Return of the King was nominated for 11 Oscars and it swept. It won all 11 Oscars. And none of them for acting. It was just too much of an ensemble piece. None of the actors were nominated for the third film. And yet it swept every other category. And yeah, I don't think that one will ever be broken. I don't think it'll ever be broken. I mean, this year, Sinners broke the record for most nominations, and it didn't come close. So I think that's the one that'll be hard to beat. Probably never. Honestly, DeCake, I don't think it's ever going to be beat. All right. Amin writes, Wakanda Forever has an 84% critic score, 93% audience score, a cinema score, and made almost 900 million worldwide. I don't think it's fair to be in mid. I don't give a shit. It absolutely is not a good movie. I don't care what anybody else says. It's just not a good movie. And I think there's a reason it made, gosh, what, 500 or 600 million less than the other one did. You got to remember, coming off of, let me see if I can just bring this up quick. Let me just do a quick check here. Box office, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Oops, I meant Black Panther, not Wakanda Forever. So Black Panther ended up making $1.34 million. So it made about 400 million less than that did. I mean, listen, that does not me take away from the fact that other people enjoyed it. I mean, there are people who love Joe Dirt. That's fine. There are people who don't like The Godfather. That's fine. I'm not taking away any of that. But I get asked the question, I'm going to answer it. It wasn't a good movie. It really wasn't. And it doesn't age well. Like I've talked to a number of people too, who initially liked the movie and later on went back and looked at it again. It's like, oh, actually it's not all that good. And it really isn't. But again, all film is subjective. And that's the beautiful thing about film, man. The beautiful thing is that we can all look at a piece of art, and that's what movies are. They're art. We can all look at a piece of art and all of us can see different things, right? We can all look at the same thing, but see completely different things from the person next to us. And that's the beautiful thing about movies. But to me, yeah, that's great that some other people liked Wakanda Forever. To me, it was not a good movie, especially compared to the greatness of the first one. But that's just me. All right. John Redcorn writes, hopefully Spider-Man Noir is the first step for Sony to revitalize their Spider properties and make them good. Yeah, I don't know, because, you know, this is a series. It's on Amazon. If they're going to, like, no matter how good Spider-Man Noir is, it will always be more associated, fairly or unfairly, with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, not associated with the series of films that have given us Kraven or Madam Web or Morbius, right? It's not really going to be associated with those, no matter how good it is. It's really more going to be associated with something because it's a series, it's on Amazon, and it's more connected with Into the Spider-Verse. I am starting to get really intrigued by Spider-Man Noir. That latest trailer they put out, actually, I thought was pretty damn good. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can get on board with this. But again, it really won't do anything for that other series of films and the reputation, their thoughts about it, because it's a completely different groups of people behind it. So, but who knows? We'll see. Hopefully it is good though. I'm getting high hopes for it, John. Really, I am. All right. Zach writes, hey, John, how about those Vegas Golden Knights beating Utah, especially that crazy game 5 comeback double OT game winner? Listen, I was actually just saying, I think I got to go out to Vegas and watch one of the playoff games. I have only gone to one Las Vegas Golden Knights game, and it was last year, and they were playing the Maple Leafs. That's why I went, because the Toronto Maple Leafs were playing in town. And the Leafs curb stomped them. Leafs killed them. I can't remember what the final score was, but they beat the hell out of them. But still, one of the things that really stood out to me was this is the best crowd for a hockey game I've seen outside of Canada. I've been to a lot of NHL games in US cities, and the crowds are good, but like that Vegas crowd at Golden Knights games, the atmosphere is like being at a Canadian arena. And it was really good, really positive. So I'm thinking I'm going to see if I can go to see a game for them in the next round. All right. Enrique writes, did you see Meryl Streep's bad Marvel comments? Nope. So I don't know what we're talking about. Animesh writes, see, guys, let me throw in something here. If you're going to write in something like this, like, don't just say, did you see this? Because if I didn't, I have no idea what we're talking about. Write in, did you see Meryl Streep's comments saying that Marvel sucks? So I know what you're talking about. I don't know what we're talking about, and you didn't give me any context. So, and I feel bad, Enrique, because you wrote in a question and I can't answer it because I have no idea what we're talking about. Anyway. All right. Animesh writes, would you expect the future projects to be great if Spider-Man and Vision Quest turn out to be great? Well, every project is its own thing, right? Every new movie is its own thing. And every movie has its own writer and its own director and its own, I mean, other than Kevin Feige, its own other set of producers that are working with Feige to make it, and its own story. And every movie can turn out to be good or bad. For myself, will I be elevated? Because right now, like I said earlier, I'm now at the level where I expect a new Marvel project to be good. If those two come out and are really, if Spider-Man and Vision Quest are as wonderful as I hope they will be, let me put it this way. If Spider-Man, Vision Quest, and Doomsday, if all three of these knock it out of the park, yes, I will say I'll be back to the place where I expect every new Marvel project to be great. Obviously, not everyone will, but if considering their record over the last 8 or 9 projects, which is a very good record, if the next 3 things, Vision Quest, Spider-Man, and Doomsday, all knock it out of the park, yes, I will say for myself personally, I will be elevated back up to expecting Marvel stuff to be great. We'll see. That's a long way to go, though. Let's see if we can get there. All right, Rich Reviews writes, favorite Siskel and Ebert disagreement. I don't know, man. I'd have to think about it. I'd have to think about it. It's not something I just think about off the top of my head. I mean, obviously, they had a number of big, memorable spats, but I would have to, I don't have it off the top of my head, so I'd have to actually think about it. All right, Rich also writes, another podcast I recommend, Canceled Too Soon, about TV shows that lasted 1 season or less, run by William Bibiani. Oh, I like William. And Whitney Siebold. I like Whitney too. I didn't know they had that podcast. I like both those guys. I think both those guys are really like very knowledgeable, very good in the space. That sounds like a really interesting premise. I did not know they had it. I think I will go check it out. Thanks for the recommendation, Rich. All right, Rachel Light Online writes, they're too old to legally be called Young Avengers. Yeah, I mean, Ms. Marvel, you could still make an argument to call her a Young Avenger. But like Kate Bishop, I mean, she's married with a kid now. Kate Bishop isn't, but the actress who plays her literally has kids now. So yes, again, do I think we will get like moments of Young Avengers? Yes. But do I think Marvel's actually setting up and going, I've been saying this for 5 years. People have been telling me for 5, 6, 7 years, John, they're about to make a Young Avengers. And I keep saying, no, they're not. And sure enough, we don't. Do I think we will get moments of Young Avengers like in Avengers Endgame? Remember in Avengers Endgame when the big battle is happening at the end and we got that one quick sequence of what they call, I think they called it A-Force, right? Like when all the female characters are there in one shot and do that one big charge. That was a great scene, by the way. Do I think we can get something like that in a Marvel movie? Yes. But do I think we're going to get a Young Avengers movie? Nah, I've never thought we were. I mean, that doesn't mean we won't. just because I don't think we will. We very well could, but I don't think we will. All right. Thanks for that, Rachel. Next up, Mattman writes, hey, John, I finally got around to Nosferatu. I wanted to love it, but it didn't work for me. What was your take? Thanks. I didn't like it either. And I love Robert Eggers. I love him. His movie, The Northman, way underrated. I think that's his best movie. His movie, like Witch, fantastic. His movie, The Lighthouse, I still don't know what that movie was. I just know I couldn't take my eyes off it. I have no idea what the fuck I just watched when I watched The Lighthouse, but all I know is I could never take my eyes off it. So everybody was raving about Nosferatu, and it looked incredible. So I went in to watch it on Christmas Day, the day it came out, with high expectations, and both Ann and I both were like, I didn't like it. Now, I'm really looking forward to his new werewolf movie, but yeah, I got to admit, man, I didn't think Nosferatu was good. I just don't think it was a good movie. But it's the only one he's ever made that I didn't like, and I'm really excited about Werewolf, so we'll go with that. All right, thanks, Matt, man. Next up, Super Nintendo Chalmers writes, for the next Avatar, do you think Quaritch will survive the fall, not survive, but gets recloned, survives, but also gets recloned? Yeah. Somehow Quaritch has returned. My guess is the fall doesn't kill him. I don't think he gets recloned. I think somehow Quaritch has returned. I think he survives the fall. I don't know that for sure, but I think his role in this story is not yet done. Although his character evolution has been the best in the series. Like it really has. And I really liked his character in it, but yeah, I don't believe he died. Yeah. Elias doesn't think he either. Like 100% he's not dead. Yeah. I don't think he's dead. I don't think he's dead. And of course, Quaritch will return in Avengers Doomsday. All right. Thanks for that, Super Nintendo. Next up, the FPPC writes, would Sonic 4 work if Jim Carrey didn't return? It absolutely could. But it has listen, Sonic 4 could happen without Jim Carrey and maybe be the best one yet. It's possible. But does it have a better chance of being great if Jim Carrey is there? 100%. 100%. So could it still be good if Jim Carrey wasn't in it? Yeah, it could. It would just be harder for it to accomplish it. It could still accomplish it. It would just be more difficult to do it. Jim Carrey to me has been I hate to say it, but he's been a better part of the Sonic movies than Sonic himself. And I love Sonic. I do. But he's been the best part of these movies. And so could it still be good without him? Yes. But does it have a better chance to be good with him? Also, yes. That's just my take at any rate. Thanks, FPPC. All right. Rich writes, apparently some people have read to the original Michael script, and it apparently demonized the accuser. I would rather have seen that than the Sunshine and Rainbows version. I mean, look, I don't believe they would have done it where they demonize the accusers. I don't know that they would have gone that way, but I don't know, maybe. Like my biggest, again, as somebody who liked the movie and I'm going to go back and watch it again. One of the frustrating things about the movie to me is every single character was one-dimensional. Michael's dad, pure villain, no redeeming qualities, absolute vile evil, period. Michael, pure angel, no moral flaws, utter perfection. The mom, completely one-dimensional. Like the brothers, one-dimensional. Everybody had their note, and it was every single thing about that character always was the same note. And so could they have mix that up a little bit if they had the other stuff? Yes. But could they have played the Accuser the same one-dimensional way they played all the other characters? Maybe that wouldn't have been a good thing. Anyway, I don't want to speculate too much because I don't know that I believe that report. I don't know that I believe it. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I don't know that I believe it. So not really much point in me speculating on it too much. All right. Be Afraid in VR writes, with Michael being successful in Lionsgate poison pill expiring this month. I don't know what that means. Do you think someone will attempt to acquire them for John Wick, Divergent, Twilight? Do I see somebody trying to acquire Lionsgate? Yes. In an era of consolidation, I could see somebody trying to get Lionsgate. I used to work for Lionsgate. Some people forget that. I used to work for Lionsgate. Back in the day, let me see if I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find this. Let me see if I can. Yes, there we go. I don't know if many of you guys remember this thing. I'll try to bring it up on the screen here if I can. Do you guys remember this? Comic-Con HQ? The Comic-Con HQ was a subscription channel, a subscription streaming service that was created by Lionsgate. And the very first thing out of the gate that came out, the very, very first thing that the very first show, we had a show with Mark Hamill. We had a show with a couple of the guys from Supernatural, all that kind of stuff. But the very first show on Comic-Con HQ was Film HQ, produced by and starring me. It was the very first thing we ever did, or that Comic-Con HQ ever did. And it was run and owned by Lionsgate. Run and own. So for a period of time, I always had to give people a disclaimer that, hey, guys, just so you know, I work for Lionsgate. Like whenever we would be talking about a Lionsgate project, I would have to tell people I worked for Lionsgate. And, we did the show Comic-Con. Anyway, just a little side note, wanted to throw that in there. And we got on first before the Supernatural guys, and our show was out. We were carrying Comic-Con HQ by ourselves because they got delayed. Like after they launched our show, they got delayed in getting Mark Hamill's show out and getting the Supernatural guys show out. And they had a couple of other ones as well. They were just delayed, and it was not long. We had some really good numbers on Comic-Con on Film HQ. We had some really, really good numbers, and I loved my team. I really did. I thought I had a terrific team working with me on Comic-Con, on Film HQ, but that went away. Anyway, you're asking about Lionsgate. Yes, I do think I could see Lionsgate getting acquired. I do. Maybe not. I mean, I really like what Lionsgate does. I really like their stuff. And you know what? I really like their Michael movie. I love their Ballerina movie. I thought Ballerina deserved much, much better at the box office. I thought Ballerina was great. And after the last trailer, I'm getting surprisingly excited for the new Hunger Games movie. That actually legit looks really good. So I like what they do. But yes, I do think that they're going to be a good target for acquisition at some point. Okay. Oh, and that's it. That's all the questions. Okay, guys. Well, you know what? Even though we are already over 2 hours, I'll tell you what, I will take a couple of more questions just from you guys in the live chat. If you guys have a question for me, see what I just put in the live chat? Capital letters, question, : write out a question, but make sure you start it with that. Start it with that. And I am not going to answer all of them. I am not going to answer all of them. I will cherry pick out a couple and go from there. Somebody's asking, where's my super chat? Somebody called Vixter. Let me take a quick look here, Vixter. This is the database where all of the super chats get put in. And I am not seeing your super chat clearly didn't go through. You might want to double check because this is the database that I pull, that it all gets automatically pulled out of. And I do not see a question in there from you. So I have not overlooked your question at all. You must not have submitted it properly or whatever. If you did, go and check it out with, YouTube, but your question did not come through. Just so you know, I did not overskip it or anything. It just clearly didn't come through. All right, let's see here. Jason is writing, do you think Supergirl movie will be a surprise hit? I mean, I think it'll do well. Like I've said for a long time, I think 500 million is its ceiling. I think it gets between like 375, 500 million. I don't know that it'll be a surprise hit. I think it'll do okay. I think it'll do well, but I don't think it's going to be like a $700 million movie, right? So no, I don't think it'll be a surprise hit, but I do think it'll do well. I think it'll do well for what it is. Let's see. Michael wrote, I know you mentioned you might cover the Doomsday leaks, i.e. Cap on the Fantastic Four ship. Are you going to talk about any more given more spoilers being online or just leave fans to speculate? I think I'm just going to leave fans to speculate. Because there's just no winning for me here. If I confirm which thing that I already confirmed, like when the rumor first came out, I did confirm that yes, Steve Rogers is on that Fantastic Four ship that we see coming to Earth at the end of Thunderbolts. And I thought about maybe confirming some other things when the rumors come out about them, but I just realized I'm going to get attacked if I do that. So I just opted not to do it. So no, I'm not going to do that, even though I'd like to, but no, I won't. Let's see here. What's next? Benji's saying, did you watch the Resident Evil trailer? Well, we talked about this earlier. I watched it before anybody else. Like they showed it to us at CinemaCon and I thought it looked really quite good. Vezzer is saying, have you played Expedition 33 yet? Nope, I have not. I think I will. I'm bringing my PlayStation Portable with me, like my handheld PlayStation thing. And I think I will start playing because I've already bought the game. I bought it ages ago. I think I'll start playing it when we go on the movie meetup tour because I'll have a lot of time in the van. Let's see. Do you think Devil Wears Prada will get a third movie? That's a good question. I got to see the second movie before I can give a guess about whether or not they'll do a third. I haven't seen the second movie yet, so you have to let me see that towards that. Let's see. Diego writes, question, why the hate towards the new Street Fighter film? I think it looks like a lot of fun and exactly what a Street Fighter film should look like. Good for you. I think it looks like absolute shit. I hope it's like, now remember, I thought the Harley Quinn animated show looked like shit before it came out. I thought it looked like total garbage. And I ended up loving it. Hopefully I feel the same way about Street Fighter, but it feels like a 5-year-old made it. Like I'm just being honest. You're asking me my opinion, so I'm going to give you my opinion. I think it looks like absolute rubbish. I think it looks totally childish. I think it looks like a 4th grader made it. I think it just looks really stupid. Again, there have been things I thought that about, and I ended up really loving them. I hope I feel the same way about Street Fighter. I'm absolutely, because I like a lot of the people involved with Street Fighter, but yeah, I just think it looks like complete garbage. But fingers crossed, I will go see it. I will give it a chance, and hopefully it'll be the next thing for me that I thought looked dumb and ended up really loving it. So we'll see. All right, last question of the day. Let's see here. Where are we at? Oh, this is a good one. Mako writes, how many Sonic movies do you think they'll make? As long as each Sonic movie continues to make more money than the previous one, they won't stop. And of course they won't stop. That would be ridiculous. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys in the live chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong here. Every Sonic movie has made more than the previous one. Every Sonic movie has made more money than the previous Sonic movie. Now, there've only been 3, but still. And as long as that streak keeps going, they won't stop making these movies. They absolutely will not stop making these movies. And nor should they. And you know what? I'm all for more of them. I've been completely charmed and delighted by these movies. So more are definitely coming. All right. With that down, guys, before we end things off, I will give a little bit of an announcement here, although I've already made the announcement on my social media and I made the announcement on the channel, the community tab on the YouTube channel. But just to let you guys know, the movie meetups are now back on. And I just announced the next 4 that we're doing. The next 4 we are doing are in Columbus, Ohio on May 24th, the New York City area on May 26th, the Boston area on Wednesday, May the 27th, and then I'm going to head back home and we're going to do one in the Toronto area at the Cineplex Cinema Queensway and VIP on Sunday, May 31st. Those are the next 4 stops on the movie meetup tour. Again, the way the movie meetups is really simple. If you want to go, just go to the movie theater's website. So for instance, in Columbus, Ohio, we're going to go to the Marcus Crosswood Cinema at the 6:30 screening of The Mandalorian. So just go to the theater's website, buy yourself a ticket just like you would normally, and we'll be there too, watching the movie. And then after the movie's done, we're just going to hang out in front of the movie theater for an hour or so and say hi, meet people, take pictures, whatever. If the movie gets sold out, you are still more than welcome to come down after the movie is done to meet and take a picture or whatever. So there are the movie theater listings and the time listings. Those are in the community tab on the YouTube channel. They are also on my Instagram account, so you can go see it on Instagram there too. By the way, guys, make sure you're following me on Instagram at John Campea. You can see that down there. So that will do it for me for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute blast doing the show today. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on the next installment of the John Campea Show. I hope to see you guys there. That'll do it for me for now, guys. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.